During the off-season, I made a video about NRG and their run through champs, and one of the major advantages that they got during their champs run, and that was how they managed the economy. It was this video just here, and basically I just ran through their entire champs run and talked about how NRG were very commonly buying light shields, and how their opponents pretty much throughout their entire run were not punishing them, never buying an outlaw, even though they were consistently doing this over and over and over again. Now, I do believe with how close some of those NRG games were, that the fact that they were able to consistently kind of get full buys where other teams might have to eco, that actually might have been a difference in a couple of the maps that they played, because quite a few of their maps were pretty close. And so with this information in mind, the fact that NRG had been buying light shields through basically all of their stage 2 run in Americas as well, and then winning champs, becoming the literal world champions, I would have thought the teams would have looked at that and gone, hey, maybe we should try that. Or, hey, if we play NRG, let's punish them for doing that. But as I'm about to show you, that is not the case. Because almost across the board, we are still seeing, even though the fact that NRG won champs and that you might think, hey, let's copy what the world champions are doing. They must be doing something right. And perhaps one of the easiest things to copy would be how they manage their eco. Most teams are not doing it, but NRG still are, and we're going to take a look at their game versus Cloud9 to prove that this is the case, and take a look at some of the rules for how they manage their economy, because we're going to pick this up on Pearl. Okay, we're going to pick this up at 4-0 to NRG. Now just note that this map, or this half, sorry, finishes 10-2 in NRG's favor. This is a stomp of a half. And even within that stomp, though, they still use light shields from time to time. Now, we're going to pick this up at round 5. The reason we're going to do that is because this is one of the rounds that NRG actually don't buy light shields. Why do they not? Well, because their economy is in a really good spot, right? Minimum 3k, some up to 5k in the bank. So they decide to buy full shields in this instance, right? They've won 4 rounds in a row. They're in a very good economical spot, but they are going to lose this round.
Without a duelist, how do you make it happen? It is not going to happen. Zeppa collecting on 2. That spike down in the open, and Scuba a little bit too late to the party through Art will go down 3.
So NRG lose only 1 of 2 rounds that they are going to lose in this half, right? But as I kind of showed you beforehand, their economy was in a good spot, and it's still in a pretty decent spot right here. But they decide, well, it's in a shaky enough spot to where we are going to buy full light shields. Now, they have some players on their team, you know, like Mata here and like Brock, who probably could buy full shields, even if they lost this round again, like, could then buy with full shields again. But they are all going light shields. We saw this consistently happen throughout champs, right? As soon as NRG lose a round, you know, unless they have like max creds in the bank, they will almost certainly buy light shields for that next round on a full buy. Did C9 punish this at any point by buying outlaws? No. No, they did not. In fact, they only bought 1 outlaw in this entire game against NRG. And I will show you where that outlaw buy comes on Breeze, but first, just to prove the point, here is NRG on round number 8. It's now 6-1. Again, they have ended up in a good spot with their economy, so they are now buying full shields again just here against the eco of C9. But actually, this is the second round that they lose.
On the Bandit. And now in a 2-on-4. Kiko needs to do a little bit extra. It won't be there for.
And so because of that, of course, you know where this is going. The very next round, they buy light shields, right? But it's not just that. I mean, if we come and skip ahead to the very next round as well, you know, after this round, so NRG do win this round. And if we skip ahead to this next round, you'll see that almost all of them, again, buy light shields, right? And this is a continuing thing going on and on and on. Again, do any of C9 buy outlaws to punish this? No. Now, I mentioned that C9 did buy 1 outlaw during this game, and that was on Breeze, but that was here, okay? That was after C9 had just won the bonus round, so they've won 3 rounds in a row, they've won the bonus, and that's going to knock NRG down to a full eco, right? So they're on a full eco, and that means that for NRG, Penny decided to pick up this outlaw. He gets a kill with the outlaw in this round, because guess what? The outlaw is good against no or light shields. It's really, really strong. And so he ends up getting a kill, and C9 end up winning this round. But then, guess what happens? We come to the very next round. So C9 have now won 4 in a row. And guess what NRG are doing? Well, of course, their eco isn't in a good spot. So they buy full light shields. And you might be thinking, well, Penny has an outlaw from the last round, right? No, he dropped it. He picked up a different gun, he picked up a rifle, and they decided to buy a full op instead, right? So they decide to spend all of these credits to buy a gun that in all reality is probably actually worse against what NRG are doing, which is just a big mistake, because if you win this round with the Outlaw, they'll either be on an eco again, or we'll be doing light shields again, which means that your Outlaw will be really good again. Anyway, C9 would end up losing that game, and I think that this to me is a bit of a worrying trend for me. Like, I would have thought that teams would have seen NRG win champs and thought, well, we should either copy what they're doing eco-wise, because clearly, you know, that's working decently well for them, or if we play NRG, we should at least punish them for it. But it seems like neither of those things are happening, except for one other team. Because you see, America's got a little bit lucky this year in the fact that another head coach or coaching duo from EMEA actually went over to Americas. And that's really good for Americas, because it turns out that those EMEA coaches are the only ones who know how to actually manage the economy. Because that's right, I'm talking about 100T Thieves, who in their first game against Lev, let me show you this. Stop me if you've seen this before. 100 Thieves have won 4 rounds in a row after losing the pistol. They're in a really good spot. They're in a really good eco spot. And so they have bought full shields because they have a lot of money in the bank. However, they are about to lose this round.
Running and gunning around. Lane cleans up. That was Sato late to the fight, but it leaves it now just down to Timotino, and he was weak from earlier. A shot to the shin.
And so guess what happens now when we come and take a look at the economy for 100 Thieves? Okay, yes, we do have Cryo buying full shields here because he's just going to use his ult. But for the other 4 players, guess what? They've all got light shields. And this is not a one-off experiment. This, again, from 100 Thieves, like NRG, was very similar, where if they have lost a round but still have money to buy, they are probably going to buy light shields. And light shields will make up a significant amount of their buys. Now, I can forgive Leviathan, because how the hell are Lev going to know that 100 Thieves are going to start buying light shields all the time? I don't blame them for not buying Outlaws, because how are they to know? However, their next opponents, G2, they should have known. They should have looked at that Lev VOD and been like, this team is buying light shields. And take a look at this round, right, where 100 Thieves have lost a couple rounds in a row now. Guess what they're doing? It's the same thing. Yeah, Cryo's going to ult with his full shields, but the rest of the team, they're all going to buy light shields. And G2, they're not going to buy any Outlaws. And even if we skip ahead to the very next round, where 100 Thieves have now won that round, even though multiple people died, they've now won a round, it's still light shields, right? Their economy is still a bit shaky, right? So we're still buying light shields. That's our goal. Again, did G2, after losing that round, did they ever think about buying Outlaws? No. And that for me is a bit of a surprise from a team like G2, because generally, G2, I think, were one of the better teams, you know, before at punishing teams, you know, buying Outlaws against ecos and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, it seems like teams just don't cotton on to the fact that certain teams like 100 Thieves, like NRG, like the Outlaw would find you massive, massive value against these teams. And look, teams don't do it. So I don't know how these teams would react, right? Would they now start buying full shields? Would they just continue with the light shields and you could just keep punishing them over and over? I don't really know, because teams just aren't doing it. So if you do this and you buy an Outlaw and win a round because of it, and then you are unsure about whether you should keep it or not, because maybe now they'll go full shields, I can understand that. But at least buy the first Outlaw, or at least do it once to see what they do. And so basically, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at everyone that isn't 100 Thieves and NRG. Because essentially, to me, it seems very, very clear that you should just manage the economy this way. You get way more buys by doing it. It can be the margins in these games. A lot of games are pretty close, and that might be the difference because you had a full buy rather than an eco. But most teams aren't doing it, and most teams aren't going to punish you, as has been proven by NRG. And this doesn't just have to apply to VCT either, by the way. Like, if you are in your ranked games and you aren't playing against someone who will commonly buy the Outlaw, if you haven't noticed an Outlaw buy in the first like 6 or so rounds, just buy light shields. They ain't gonna change. VCT teams who have VODs and know that these teams are buying light shields, they don't even do it. So little ranked John over there, he's not gonna do it.